Good morning, good evening, good night, dear viewer. I don't know who you are. It's time to talk about something really important. And it's not Andrew Jackson. I still hate that fella. We're going to talk about the Civil War and Reconstruction. Kind of. So sit back and relax because we're going to talk about something very important before the Civil War. And that's something we like to call slavery. Now, you already know the whole concept of it. If you're not a white man, get to the fields, especially if you're a black person. Maybe? I don't know. But slavery was a big thing, especially in the southern states in early America. This is like the 1600s, I believe. No. Whoops. Sorry. My mistake. This was probably around the 1800s. So the southern states were a big impact on slavery. They had slaves all over the place, plantations everywhere. The northern states had it differently, though. Thus created something called a slave state and a free state, which is the north and southern states. You catch my drift now? Yeah, I hope you do. Eventually, President Abraham Lincoln, yes, the one who got shot, he kind of wanted the South to be like, hey, join our union and stop the slavery. But then the South was like, no. So thus started the Civil War. The years of the Civil War is from 1860 to 1865. You know how long of a war that could be? War is scary. Alright, I'm just going to say that. War is scary. One big thing about the Civil War, it introduced a lot of things. There is something called a mini ball. It's not what you think it is, alright? This thing can pack a punch. It can kill a man with just one shot. You think modern day bullets are bad? Oh, just go back to the 1860s. You'll die instantly on that battlefield. That thing had enough force to blast a man's arm off. I'm probably exaggerating, but it might. Eventually, all this led to a lot of injuries, of course, because there are some who somehow survive this attack. And doctors didn't know what to do, so doctors had to amputate the limbs or stuff like that. They had to cut off like arms and legs and heads. Nah, that's just a joke. They'd be dead. So that's when women eventually started volunteering to become nurses to help even more. And that helped a lot. Yeah, back then, no one really liked women, so I'm pretty sure everyone was surprised at the time. They're like, oh, you're a woman doing this? Oh, you're a woman doing that, and you're helping? Oh my god, maybe we were wrong all along. Maybe women are as equal as men. Nah. Hey, guess what? I done talked about the entire thing. Just to find out my camera died right after I started talking about the women. What a coincidence. So, after the whole women situation, amputation was still a big problem because people would get infections and die. And they found this thing, and I forgot what it's called, but whenever you get amputations, you don't get infected, so you don't die. So, thanks to that. So, after that little situation, a new creation was made, the telegraph. Now, the telegraph is a really, really, really good device that was used in the Civil War because this thing could send messages almost instantly. It was especially sent to Lincoln, but he would also send it back for commands and stuff. It wasn't just Lincoln, it was also other people. But it was so helpful because it helped with communication. Communication was so faster, which was really good. And then the railroads were extended or created. I don't even know at this point. Railroads happened. Things could be Things and people, alright? Things and people can be transported to one place to another in 1 week. Now, in modern day time, that's from California to Tennessee. But that's modern day time. We're talking about the 1800s. I almost said 1600s again. This is the 1860s, all right? It took them 2 months, all right? 2 months. Would you rather go on a train for a whole week or go on a wagon for 2 months? I'd take the train. Lincoln actually didn't really send commands with the train. He sent goods and food and resources and clothing and stuff. So he was basically saying, it's up to you guys. So they fought. And eventually, the South surrendered. Yay! Let's go! North won. Slavery is finally over. So, slavery is technically over, which starts something really bad. And I'm not talking about Lincoln's death, but that's also pretty good. Because a week later, after the war has ended, A week later, after the war has ended in 18. Okay. A week later, after the war has ended in 1865, Lincoln has been assassinated. I believe he was shot in the back of the head while he was in a theater. So, the war has finally ended. Lincoln's dead, unfortunately. But that doesn't stop the slavery from ending. So slavery it's gone, ending, extinct, it's disappeared. Kind of. Because thus starts the Reconstruction Act. The South is completely in ruins. Like buildings, towns, cities, people destroyed, dead. It's just a wasteland, alright? It's like a graveyard, except you had like a whole bunch of wrecking balls just build the place instead of like actual things. Where am I going with this? The South didn't have the money to cover this. So eventually they joined the Union. And that means no slavery. They weren't really happy about that. But they needed money. They needed money to rebuild their place, or else their place is going to look like a wasteland. The southern states is going to be dead zone. It's going to be renamed that. That also means every single state is technically a free state. Except one thing that comes in hand. Racism. A lot of it. So since this has happened, a lot of, how do I say this? Organizations were made. One of the most popular organizations against black people, or just like anyone that is not a pure white American male, was the Ku Klux Klan or the KKK. However you want to say it, they're bad people, alright? They're the people who like wear white robes all the time and like punished people who weren't like them. It was not good. It was really not good. Although black people have rights and they're citizens now, they weren't treated the same. They were treated worse, actually. You see this huge garage door behind me? Imagine like this as a door for whites, and then imagine like a refrigerator door. So that little space would have a sign over that says colored only, and this huge garage door would say white only. And it wasn't only doors, all right. It was doors, it was windows, it was schools, water fountains, especially that one, buses. You heard about Rosa Parks. Even the side of the freaking road to walk at. And on everything I just said, guess who got the better stuff? Basically every single time. The white people. Because they would get new textbooks, they get new desks, new chalkboard. They get the best seats in town on the bus. A freaking garage door sized doorway. Blacks get the exact opposite of that. They wouldn't get paid as much either. And if you were a black woman, you were basically screwed. But yeah, it led to a lot of corruption within the states. That's just like kind of like the main gist of it. I'm not going to go too much in detail. It's like 10 right now. But I hope you learned something. I'll see you next time. And remember, slavery is bad. And mini bullets are terrifying. Good night.